listen.
I'm in position.
Beyond this point lies the Hammer's territory. You want to go the safe route or the fast route?
The usual one.
I'm gonna stop asking. There's a couple of small patrols in the area. Nothing you can't handle, though. Been trying to reach out to the Hammers, work out a peaceful solution. But nowadays, most of them are trigger-happy, drugged-up brutes. I have no idea how Armand kept them in line.
He didn't. That's the way he liked them.
There's just no end to them. I don't get it. The Hammers keep picking fights with everybody. Yet there's always like a billion of them around. They're not picky when it comes to recruitment. They seem really pissed off.
Hello guys, welcome to my next tutorial. I hope you're all doing great. This time I wanted to do something a little bit different. For the last few weeks I've been struggling to find an inspiration, both for my music and for the new videos. And I know that in a times like this, the best thing I can do is to just stop thinking about it, do something completely else, clear my mind. And I know that in the end the inspiration will come very often from the most unusual places. So I decided to play some video games, and I tried this new game called Ghostrunner 2. It's pretty great, go check it out if you like those kind of things. But as soon as I start to play, those gritty industrial environments contrasted with the classic cyberpunk neon colors and super fast tempo of the game, it immediately gave me this idea that it would be great to create the track that works both on the dance floor in the club, but also as a soundtrack to running on the walls and killing things with katana in this dystopian cyberpunk settings. And I have to say I'm pretty happy with the results. Honestly, I just wanted to hear my music in this game. Don't get me wrong, it has a really nice soundtrack on its own. I enjoyed it, but I just want to take I just want my take on it. And like I said, I'm pretty happy with the result, and it was pretty fast too. So I want to share this process with you, and let's get to it without any further ado. First we have the kick that sounds like this. You see it's a loop, but I made it using thumb. Recently my favorite way to create kick drums. I introduced it in my previous video. So I played a lot with this plugin recently. So I created a bunch of kick patches and I saved them. So now every time I start a new project, I just go through them and try to find the kick that I like. And then I just resampled it to a new audio channel, give it some EQ, make it mono, and that's pretty much it. But there is also a second layer to this kick. It sounds like this. It's almost like this high rumble. It's just an audio channel. It's almost like a return track. There is a reverb. In this case, I used Brainworks Rooms. I really like this plugin. It sounds really clean. It's easy to use and light on the CPU, so I use it a lot recently. And you know, it just create this this, you know, this sense of space. When I was making this, I was thinking of those giant steel and concrete structures that you often navigate in this game. So it's like a resemblance of this. And the third layer, it's the sub layer. It's just fill the gaps between kicks. I use it wavetable to make it. It's really simple sound, just one oscillator, quite slow attack, and some release as well. So as you can see, the notes are just, you know, a bit shorter. So the sound of the sub won't interfere with the low frequencies of the kick. And I also added some saturation to make it more audible on the smaller systems, and also just give it some additional harmonics. In this case, I used Softtube saturation knob. It's a really great simple plugin. Sounds really good. So together our low end sounds like this. Next we have hi-hats that sounds like this. As you can see, there are two samples, open hi-hat and close hi-hat, and they are playing this pattern. As you can see, there is a little bit of swing. As for the samples, they are just open and close hi-hats from the Ableton collection. There's one little neat trick I can show you in case you don't know it. If we take the drum rack and then we can take sampler, not simpler, and we put it in one of these cells, and then we can, for example, let's say that you want to add clap to this pattern. So we can take bunch of samples. We can put them here all at once, 27 samples, and then we go into zone, and we click distribute ranges equally, and then this small thing, if we assign it to macro, now we can use this macro to select the sample. So that's what I did. There is a bunch of open hats and a bunch of close hats, and then I just run through them and pick the ones I wanted. And on the hat groups, there is also a saturation knob to give it a little bit more bite, and utility to control the volume. At the end, there is a K-clip 0 to shave off some peaks. So together with our low end, it sounds like this. Next we have snare that sounds like this. Really bright, snappy sound. Not the strongest snare on its own, but together with the rest of our drums, it sounds really good, cut through the mix. And one more thing, there is also one return track, again with Brainworks rooms, and it's just a room reverb, as you can see, except the low end. Most of the instrument goes to this return track to create this additional layer and add space. Without it, it sounds quite different, not as full. So that's it for the snare. To continue with the percussive elements, we have two layers of this. First is this channel. And there is just a few atmospheric percussive elements. When I was looking through my sample, I was looking for something sci-fi sounding, a little bit otherworldly. And then I added this unfiltered audio triad effect. It's a great multi-effect plugin. I added just default reverb effect and tweaked it a bit. You can really go to town with this plugin, but this time I didn't want something too crazy, just a bit of space and weirdness, and you will see without it sounds like really flat and not that interesting. And then there is this second layer. It's also just a bunch of interesting percussive elements. For the effects, there is only EQ8. And it goes through the return reverb, of course. And I'll show you together with the rest of the drums. It creates this really interesting effect. Should be like this, actually. Okay, and I think that's it. Yeah, it's just a few different samples throughout the arrangement. This is like a razor, which is just a reverse right snare sample. Next we have our main melodic sequence that sounds like this. It's quite a simple sequence. As you can see, we are staying in our key of F sharp, except this one note, but it's fine. As for the sound, I use this instrument called Ghostrunner. I have it for a while now, but I tend to ignore it for some reason. Probably because I don't know it really well. but it sounds very interesting. It's a little bit different kind of synthesis. I think it's called spectral synthesis. Yeah, and it sounds really interesting. A lot of patches have this sci-fi vibe to it, so I decided to use it. I use this pad called Lead Companion. It sounds almost like an acid bass line, but I think it has its own characteristic to it. And this sequence plays throughout the whole track. But the important thing here is an automation. There are 4 different parameters that are automated: filter cutoff, filter resonance, harmonic filter shape, and envelope. And they are constantly changed throughout the track. So, you know, it makes it interesting. It's not boring, it's not stale. And the interplay between those 4 parameters changing creates all those nice textures and harmonics. Those changes are really subtle sometimes, but as they say, your brain will notice even if you won't. But the sound constantly evolving. Okay, so that's it for our main melody. Next we have our second melody that sounds like this. Very simple short melody, and it changes in a second part. It sounds like this. Between this part and this part, there is only one note that is different. This one, in this first sequence, it plays G, and in the second one, it plays A flat, if I'm correct. Yes, but you can really notice the difference. It creates this tension. For the sound, I use Surge XT again, and I started with this patch that you can find here in the polysynth category. I tweaked it a bit to my liking. There is also some automation applied. Yeah, there is a filter cutoff, oscillator 1 shape, and oscillator 1 sync, and they also evolve throughout the track, throughout the arrangement. Together with our main melody, it sounds like this. And with the percussion, the rest of our instrument, it sounds like this. Okay, that's it for the second melody. Next we have our first pad that plays this one. Next we have our first pad sound. It plays this one long F note and sounds like this. It's more like a sound effect, the razor that leads to the next part of the track. There is automation applied for the filter cutoff, so it opens as the sound progresses. As for the sound, I used this really interesting instrument called Cult by Dawson. What's interesting and unique about this instrument are those oscillator shapes. They are based on a mathematical theory called strange attractors. I'm not going to pretend I understand all of it, but it sounds really good. It has its unique characteristic. It's especially great for those cinematic, long evolving sounds, pads or drones, also for the basses and other things, but for me it really shines in this department. This sound is quite simple. It's only one oscillator, and it plays really well with our main melody. Let's listen to it. You can hear how it creates tension and leads to the next part of the track. I wanted to use this instrument more, but eventually I just use it for this in this track. I hope to use it more in the future tutorials, because it's like I said, it's really interesting instrument. Next we have our second pad that sounds like this. It also plays one long F note. In the first part at least, because then it changes and again it changes from F to A flat, the pattern we remember from our second melody, and it sounds like this. So you see how it slightly changes the mood. For the sound I use Surge XD again, and I started with this patch called Bell and Sweeps that you can find in a pad category. And there is also automation applied to it. So as you can see, mainly filter cutoff, or only filter cutoff, but it's changed throughout the track. With our main melody it sounds like this. As for the effects, there is Valhalla Supermassive. I want the sounds to be really spacious and cinematic. So yeah, most of the time Valhalla Supermassive do the job. There is EQ to get rid of the low frequencies, not to muddy the sound, and glue compressor at the end to control the dynamic of it, because it's when the filter cutoff change, the volume of the sound can change significantly. So yeah, that's it. That's it for the second part. For the second part, there's 2 more sounds to go, I believe. There are those 2, again, atmospheric effects. I use Surge XT for this again. I use them mostly in a breakdown. The first one, it's the patch called level 9. You can find it here in effects. And the second one, you can find it here as well in the effects. I didn't change much in those sounds. They sound really good in the context of the track. They are like really sci-fi and otherworldly, so really fits with the rest of the track. Creates this eerie atmosphere. As you can see, there are not much effects applied on them. Surge XT has a really good built-in effect, so very often there is really no need to use some external effect outside of Surge XT. You can see there is delay, there is reverb, and sounds really good. And if it sounds good, I'm not trying to fix it. So that's it, guys. I believe we went through all the sounds. Thank you for watching. If you still there. If you find it useful or mildly entertaining, please consider liking and subscribing. Again, thanks for watching. See you in the next tutorial, and let's listen to the full track.